in this movie. And which movies from the 80s did you watch? Or do you have like a short list of favorite movies in one of you? Like there's a mention of Cool Running in the movie, of course.
Yeah, Cool Runnings is great.
Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
when Harry Met Sally.
Yes, when Harry Met Sally.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Very good.
It's a very good film.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That's 80s, right? 83?
Yeah, 83.
Return of the Jedi.
Bring it on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's a lot
Mad
of good
Max
movies in
3.
There's also this other great movie called 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy.
Trading Places.
Trading Places, yeah. Another fucking
80s, sensational. And Breakfast Club and all those. I was a teenager watching all those.
I mean, because the great thing about the 80s is that, you know, it's still the kickback from the 70s. And the 70s was this great independent movie moment, you know, where all these movies started coming out of America, like Easy Rider and Bonnie and Clyde. You know, there's this real movement in the 70s of really gritty, films that the studios didn't quite have a handle on, and sort of auteurs really were making their films then. And the 80s still, I believe, has this kind of, is the connective tissue between the 70s and the studios kind of trying to get a handle on that. So you get some really, you know, John Landis is a great filmmaker. There's some incredible films came out of the 80s, you know, even Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's got these, it's got these incredible elements to them that feel really raw and edgy. And I think that, you know, is something that certainly with Eddie, that I try to, you know, we try to kind of just reference and hang on to and not lose sight of. And I think that's one of the strengths of the film. We play it real, you know. I was very clear with the guys that we don't treat it as a broad comedy. Cool Runnings is a fantastic film, but for my taste it's a little bit broad in terms of how it's approached. You know, those characters are great, but I just felt they were too broadly approached. And I think what's really fantastic about what the guys do is that there is great moments of comedy, but there's also great moments of pathos and drama in there as well. And if we'd gone too comedic, if we'd gone too broad, I wouldn't have those fantastic moments where you know, he sits in the van and says, "You did something brilliant." And Taron doesn't even speak in that scene, but for me, it's one of the best scenes in the film. You know, you just this look, or when you try to convince him, "Don't go and be a fool." You know, for me, they're the really exciting moments, as well as that wonderful comedic element that the film has as well.
Question here.
A little animated then.
Yeah.
Delicious champagne. What was that? Was that Verve Cliquot?
No branding, no branding.
Yes, no branding. Verve Cliquot.
Here.
Sorry.
Good evening, and thank you for being here, gentlemen. Perfect movie. I just loved it.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, thank you. You're both used to bigger action movies, actually, and to see you in...
I don't know if I'm used to them, but I better get used to them. That's going on. Two's on the way.
Ready.
And to see both of you in a smaller movie, but in a good way, kind of exposes you more personally. I mean, showing more feelings than with big effects. And I'd like to know what it's involving personally as an actor, and also as a director, because it seems only like a simple movie, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of special effects given the jumping and. Or maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great.
Anyway.
No, yeah, just to answer that, to address that, I mean, there is a couple of moments, of course, you know, Hugh...
Huge jump, isn't it?
Yeah, as much as Hugh wanted to jump, I simply couldn't allow that to happen, and no insurance company would. So there is there, and then the rest of it is crowd replication. And apart from that, and there's a couple of big crashes, because obviously we don't want to hurt anybody, but essentially we do it all in camera. I mean, we didn't have the resources, like you say, we didn't have a lot of money. It's really a sort of independent film in a lot of ways, this film. So the level is at.
Exactly, and for you to be like, as the gentleman was asking, in a smaller, quote-unquote, independent film, how does it feel for you as an actor?
Great. I mean, I suppose that's where I started. We're all, Australia, English films, you know, you always start off on these sort of independent films, and there's something really lovely about it. It wasn't until I got to set, and maybe 3 weeks in, I realised I hadn't done something like that for a long time, where it was really certainly when I was there, very much about this relationship on screen evolving, and all this time with Taron, who I was just so blown away by what he did. And I'm glad you recognise that about Dexter's job, that it might look simple, it might look a straightforward movie, but very, very difficult. And I think the same goes for Taron's role, which as I read it, I remember thinking that's a really hard role to pull off, because you have to be funny, at times goofy, even slapstick at times, but ultimately the audience can't be laughing at you, they have to be laughing with you the entire time, and your heart is in your throat by the end of the movie. You want him to make that jump so badly, and it seems easy when you watch it, but as an actor to pull that off, and the idea that this guy can also go and do Kingsman like that, I mean, I'm ridiculously impressed with Taron, what he can do, and I think this is just the beginning of what we're seeing. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but that last song over the credits, that was Taron singing. Really? You didn't know that? Yeah. So I do the backup vocals, but it is Taron singing the lead, and he's amazing.
He's really not joking, that is us.
It is He's amazing singers. There's a lot to be discovered, but anyway, you're right. It's a movie that seems quite straightforward, but difficult to pull off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're saying it feels like a smaller movie. If you put yourself in my shoes for a second, my supporting actor was Hugh Jackman, and it didn't really feel small to me. And then halfway through shooting, someone goes, "Yeah, Christopher Walken's coming," and it felt quite big, really, But for me, it was just a great different part, I mean, Eggsy was a big introduction, and I wanted to show that I could do something else, and I was a big fan of Dexter's earlier movies. If you love this movie, you should go and watch Wild Bill and Sunshine on Leith. They're incredible films. And I felt that the maths of this script and this story and what made this script special and Dexter kind of really just felt right in my head. I felt like it was going to be something great, and I'm really proud of it. And I think as self-effacing as Dexter is, it's largely his personality up on screen, I think.
Thank you.
Question. Micro, ici.
Bonsoir à vous trois. Félicitations pour le film, c'était très sympathique. J'avais une question pour Taron au sujet de sa performance, parce qu'il apporte quelque chose de très naïf, de très candide à une époque où le cynisme règne vraiment dans tous les films. Et j'aimerais savoir comment il a travaillé cet aspect. J'avais une question pour Dexter. Vous disiez justement que le film avait très peu de budget. Comment vous avez pu faire pour la reconstitution? Merci.
I understood his question, but not
Well, so in fact, the first question for you, Taron, I mean, there is a very endearing and very naive quality to your character in times really where cynicism rules most of the time everywhere. How did you work on this quality? How did you bring it to the screen? How did you flesh out your character to make him naive and endearing, so to speak?
Just sort of happens.
You should ask his coach.
We'll ask you too.
It was not easy.
It is difficult. It's very challenging, as you say, to do that.
Well, I don't know. I think you read the script and he felt like he's got his mum and dad play such a big role in the movie, and he's constantly looking upwards in admiration of everybody, Peary, the Norwegian jumpers. He just felt to me like someone looking up. He felt kind of childlike, and also I think, in a movie where it's so important that everyone is massively behind the character and so wants them to succeed, that kind of youthful quality I think is really useful for that. Not wishing to be too kind of exposing how calculated I was about it, but I think I don't know. There's obviously maybe there's a bit of that in me, sincerely. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do you know what? When people ask me about acting and the process and how you get there, I am so crap at answering those questions. I really am rubbish. I try, but I don't know. No one's going to be asking me to go on inside the actor's studio. Because I'll be like, don't know, really. Sort of did it. I don't know, rubbish. Thank you, though. You have a lovely voice, by the way.
And then so the other part of the question was for you. I mean, obviously, the budget was not humongous. I mean, how did you do with such a budget to do a movie with so much detail and to reconstruct all that. It's so impressive on screen. You really see the production values on screen. How did you do it?
I think I'll defer to Taron's answer. I don't know. I just did really. No, I mean obviously I have an incredible team. I have extremely dedicated costume and production designers, and where we were lacking in terms of money, we gained in terms of cinematic kind of vistas. So, the mountains are an incredible place to film because you can give everything such depth and everything looks incredible. So when things start to feel kind of squeezed, which they can do with the budget, I had this mountain that I could go to, or these ski jumps that I could go to, or these incredible moments of people throwing themselves down these incredible ski jumps. So, of course, it's a testament what you're saying and what you're asking to those departments. The art department and the costume and the makeup and all those things. And the thing is that when you have a film, you make do. You find a way of making those things work for what you have. And of course, people's passion and talent are key to that. And so I really was very fortunate. I had people that I'd worked with before, or people who are very, very passionate, keen, and enthusiastic, and helped bring that whole look of the film to the screen. I wish I could claim it all as my own, but I don't really. No, it's fantastic. It's really about them. So yeah, it's great. I think the other wonderful thing is that the performances are so strong, the story's so great, the inspirational elements of it are so interesting that it really helps me get away with a lot that maybe you don't see when you watch, because you're so engaged in those characters, you're so engaged in that relationship, you're so engaged in that moment that actually you can get away with a lot more in terms of where you don't have resources.
Well, as Hugh Jackman finished his champagne glass, it's time for our last question. Who's going to ask it? Where's the mic? Here you are.
Hello. Congratulations. It's a really, really good movie. J'aurais deux questions.